Well, Dave, welcome to East End Park, and it's nice to see you back here again. You've obviously moved back 2 or 3 times since you stopped playing.
Yes.
So, but when you signed for Dunfermline, it was in 1984?
That's right, that's right.
And
from Arbroath.
Yeah, but we were in the same division as Arbroath, so what made you come to Dunfermline?
What happened with Arbroath, they missed promotion 3 years on the trot. We were third every time, and I think they realised at that point it was a time for a fresh start. And a lot of the guys who, I was one of them from Edinburgh, and the Glasgow guys, basically they moved us on because of the expenses and the amount of travelling, etc. So I remember I got a phone call. Strangely enough, I used to play against Gregor Abel before he just retired. So Gregor phoned me up and asked me if I was going to come to have a go at Dunfermline, and I wasn't just too sure, a bit uneasy about things, because Dunfermline were below Arbroath basically. You know, they weren't doing terribly well. I think Tom Forsyth or Pat Stanton era was here, and they were near the bottom of the league, so it wasn't really a step up, but it was a step back. But in the long term, it's a step back to go up, and that's how it came from a phone call from Gregor. Came over, and that time Leash I think he had just been appointed maybe 3 or 4 months, and he had got John as Watson. He signed him, he signed a guy Paul Rogers, he was signing me, so he brought about 5 or 6 around Hamilton, Ian Heddle, some new faces, and it was all a bit of a risk. So again, came over, and I always remember we trained here the first time in the old changing rooms, which were in the main stand, and you came down the stairs and it was a big setup, and there was nothing like that at Arbroath. So you knew you were a different club altogether, and a different fan base, which became apparent over the career. So that's how it all came from Gregor Abel playing against them.
Alright, so how did you get on with Jim Leishman then?
Jim is unbelievable character, as we all know, and I think I always say to people, you know, and he admits it probably himself, he's not probably the best tactical, but he's the best man manager you've ever come across, and I think he was cut out for football. And even I always thought that the players that he had in my era, there was nobody outstanding, as in exceptional, but he got the best out of every one of us, and it's probably, you know, it's all down to his man management skills and how he actually cajoled and coached you to play better than what you are to your ability. Also think that he got the right people around him in coaching staff. So Jim's a great manager, he knows the right people, and I think that was quite evident in his Livingston career as well. You know, got the right people around him, done very well. Again, not exceptionally great players in there that you would say, you know, Scottish internationalists or whatever, they certainly can get the most out of you. So you always be grateful for him, and he always reminds me how grateful I should be to him as well, which can be a bit of I have to bite my lip quite hard at times, but he's absolutely fantastic. Really like Jim, and it was a shame at the end, you know, when I left Dunfermline, it was very amicable because we were going full time, and it was the right reasons. And unfortunately, my job was quite career. I was well into my career and my job, so full time was never really an option for me. And Jim couldn't have been any better facilitating the move to Airdrie, and just to get you moving on and getting full-time players. So he done the right thing, and it was not like we ever fell out in no way. And I always loved seeing Jim, and vice versa. I hope that we'll always get a bit of laughs. So he is a great man manager, as I would put it.
Yeah, we spoke to Bobby Forrest a few weeks ago, and he said that the defence at that time when he was playing was the best defence in the team, in any team that he'd ever played in. There was yourself, there was Norrie, Westy, Bobby Robertson and Bobby Forrest, and he said that the whole defence just worked well together, especially that season 85, 86. Yeah,
I mean, I think when I was at Norwich thing recently, there was a few different back fours, and people were mentioning people like Frank Liddell, Alan Forsyth, Paul Roger, and they all played with me at one point. And I wouldn't say that was we finished third that year. You know, we lost out of the Alloa game, and we had I can't remember who the left backs were, but what happened was that Laois, it was quite strange. I mean, Laois brings back Bobby Forrest, who was a left winger. Bobby's left winger went to left back, so you've got such an attacking minded left back. You bring Norrie, who thought he was a centre forward, to a midfielder, back to a sweeper, so he was always pushing on, and he had that sort of mentality of a forward, not a defender. And Bobby Robertson just was Mr. Steady. He kept the whole thing calm, while I was just doing the things in the air and doing the rest of it. So it was a great balance. And again, I think that was a lot of credit to Laois and his coaching staff, to see the likes of more Bobby Forrest and Norrie going back to these positions, not in a backward way, but in a positive way, because they just made that whole back four, and obviously Wesley at the back, but it made the whole back four a bit different than normal that you would normally get, which was what we probably were the season before. Very just a normal back four. It was a very attacking back four. It was very, it was a very strong physical back four, and we done very well. So I agree with Bobby. It was we never even had that at Arbroath, and we had some good players up there. But I think it was down to the credit to the coaching staff to see that. Bobby Forrest, left back. Couldn't keep him at left back. He was away up that left wing every time, but he's got the energy to get all the way back, which was fantastic. So it was good. And if you watch through the team thereafter, it's in the middle of the field Stevie Morrison, and then Laois put in Davie Moyes and Gary Thompson. So that was the person in front of me, and then John Watson up front. So the spine was very, very, very good as well. So you always had John scoring goals, and all you had to do is get the guys to feed in and pop the balls in there, and John done the rest of it. But the middle of that, all the way from Westy up to John, was pretty, I think the stats will show as well, is that he never changed that. He would always change the right midfield, left midfield, right wing, left wing. Jim Bowie jumped out an awful lot. John Donnelly came in, Ian McCall came in. So he played a bit with these positions, but never the back four. You could name that every week. So Bobby's probably, he is right. It was a very, very strong back four.
Yeah. You played in every game, but there was the one game you missed was the Stennismuir one.
Gutted. It was a Wednesday, I think it was, and it was a promotion night, and I had a cold. As simple as that. That's all it was, and I missed one game. And it's not, I didn't really think much of it at the time, and it's not until you look back in your career and look at the stats, because that year I think Norrie played every game, and I was second, and maybe Wesley was third, I'm not sure, but I was one game away from ever, and it was as simple as that, and that just didn't come. And there was no pressure that night, because really the promotion was done. It was at Stenhousemuir, wasn't feeling that great. It must have been man flu, and then it missed the start in Luke Reeson. It's a bad start not to have, but anyway, it's a bit unfortunate, but it was as simple as that. Wasn't dropped.
You obviously did the two promotions while in the time that you were here, so I mean must have been a fabulous time to be a player at that time.
Yeah, it was, because I remember we were all part-timers. Every one of us was part-time, and as I say, a lot of that credits to Jim and the way we carried out our business. I mean, you wouldn't do it nowadays, but I always remember that simple things as after the match you would go up to Legends, which was the Paragon Bar. All our mums and dads were there, our families were there, so it was very much, and not just my family, but all our families were there, and all our families became quite close as well. I mean, John Watson's mum and dad, and Ian's mum and dad, and they all came over, so it was a really strong bond. And then used to go up there, a couple of beers down at the training nights. We all travelled together in the car, so again, it was a way of truly amateur but semi-professional footballers bonding together. And then when we went up to the first division, got a bit more training, and we've still done exactly the same things. We've still got after the game and mixed with our families and the supporters, and that was just bonding, and that's all it is. I think if you look in other teams like Wimbledon, you weren't the best team, but the bonding great. Probably Leicester just now, not the greatest team, but they're bonding great. And it's a lot of that. We had the traits of that definitely all the way through. And I think it's not until you get to the Premier and you really need that goes out the window, and you need to then do your real full time and your football, your diet, and all that. We never really done that. The diet was the laughs and the social and the fun, and we're all together in that. And I think that's seen us through, second, first division, no problem at all.
So you'll probably, talking about that, you've probably got a few stories to tell about things that went on. Oh God,
I mean, people remember, if you think about the Paragon Club, the night Davie Moyes was singing up there, on the microphone, the band was off, Davie Moyes was on, and the place was rocking that night. I also think, when we've done the promotion, John Greaves's bar up at Eastport, Walton Westport, whatever it was, and Ian McCall crawling on the rafters, and it was like we were mates. That's it, and it happened all the time, and we went everywhere all the time together. And again, after the games, some of the guys from Glasgow, we go to Glasgow, in Edinburgh, the guys, we still go out at night on a Saturday. Norrie, myself, Ian, John Watson, Bobby. And we all used to start having fun and back training on Sunday and Monday, but yeah, I do remember a lot of good nights and good laughs at the Paragon, but I'll keep them for later. You need to get a few drinks in there before you get the real big bad stories out. I'm sure people will know some of them.
Who was your toughest opponent?
The toughest opponent, it wasn't really the fast guys. You think the fast guys would be the tough ones, because I wasn't obviously blessed with pace, but I played against Toddy once at Kelty Hearts, would you believe? He was awkward. He's all gangly in arms, and and he'd knock you off. So people like that type of footballer was the hardest to play against. It wasn't really the small fast ones. I could sort of cope with them. If I couldn't get them, Norrie was always there to sort them out. But yeah, I remember a guy, Jim Liddell at County, he used to give me a torrid time as well. And it was just because he was physically the same size, and the elbows and all that sort of nonsense, and you're trying to get that extra yard. So they were the sort of taller, heavier sort of guys with the hardest ones. So. Yeah. And then another one was Charlie Adams' dad, who played at Brecon. He was the same size as, he's dead now unfortunately, but he was another awkward bugger to play against.
Who was in the team, who did you kind of bond with most than anyone else?
The back four, would you believe? I mean, Ian Westport and I are still best friends. We see each other socially. We team to today. And again, that was about the back four. I mean, Ian, Bobby, myself, Bobby Forrest, we all travelled together, and we always went out on a Thursday night, and we always done things together. So that was really, it was not just through the football, but we carried that on out with the football. I still see John Watson regular, although unfortunately health's not that great at the moment, but John and I used to still play five-a-sides up until 2-3 years ago. So we actually did bond as people and friends as well, So I think Rudolph Fairman, we've kept a lot of the friendships over the years have carried on. Norrie, as I said, Norrie, we used to go out at night with Norrie on Saturday, myself, John, Ian and Norrie, that was like the four of us up the town on Saturday night in Edinburgh. That stood us firm, I think. So yeah, that was the sort of team, the guys that I sort of bonded with.
For the centre half, you didn't score an awful lot of goals, but you scored a couple of significant goals.
That's right, yeah.
Would you like to tell us about them?
Yeah, that was a great day, and it's a bit like today. It's you come to the ground, you can feel the excitement here even today at such an early time, and we felt that day, full house at East End Park. I remember going out and getting the warm up, and if you couldn't play in that atmosphere, you shouldn't be there at all. I always remember before the game, a good story was that we're all sitting there, we're all nervous, against Hibs, it's a big game, and all sitting, trying to look brave but very, very nervous, and Lee's just opened the door of the changing room and just, I always say, just listen to the noise. and you felt the buzz coming in, and it just got that sort of adrenaline, taking you to that level that you never thought you could get to. So that day, it was the first one. I like to think it was a really smashing header, but I think it came off my shoulder. It was a corner for Stuart Beattie, and it sort of hit my shoulder, my ear, and it sort of went in, and you know, that was the first goal, which was great. But the second goal was Stuart Beattie got a free kick and knocked it to the side, had a great 25-yarder, and so it was a good second goal. The third goal was, mine was the equaliser, which was one more memorable because it was a free kick out the left-hand side. The ball went to Ian McCall, and Ian didn't know if you're going to get it or he's going to try and dribble it, but he fired it over, and I must have headed it from about the 18-yard box, and Ruffy was floundering over the line, and then it went, and that was a great memory of that, you know, at the time, you know. So it was and again after the game, up to the Paragon Club, we all went up there, your family were up there, and your friends were up there, and what a fantastic atmosphere. So they were very memorable, not just for the goals and the significance of the goals, but the things it meant to a lot of other people as well, especially your family and friends, you know, and the supporters. It was a great day.
Yeah, because that was obviously the first game in the Premier League and against Hibs, and then we had Andy Williams.
That's right.
Williamson went off injured.
That's right.
And his son is now playing.
That's correct. That's right, Andy.
Does that make you feel old?
It does, aye. A lot of things make me feel old, and that's another one of. But Andy, I was a bit fortunate for Andy because I don't know what it was, a hamstring or whatever, but he had to go off early, which disrupted it, and. But 3-3 that day was a huge result, you know, a really great result for the club, and it sort of gave us a bit of belief that we weren't just part-timers that were, you know, just a good bunch of guys, but we could actually play a little bit as well. So yeah, it seems well, it was a long time ago, and the sad thing is when you're hearing, you know, obviously Norrie, the recent issues with John with his health. You know, Gary Thompson, you know Gary Riddle, you know, these guys. That's the thing that makes you feel sad and a bit old when you look at team photos in here and the people that are no longer with us. It's a sad thing, you know, because we're a good bunch of guys.
So you look back on your time here with fondness? Absolutely.
I would never have achieved it in football if it wasn't for Leash getting me here with True Gregor. Getting the best out of me, you know, from a very average player to probably a decent player. You know, that's what he achieved. He allowed me to do that, and the fun we had on the way was great. You know, and that's the memories about it. Going back to Arbroath and even Celtic days, we had good teams and good players, but there was never that bond. You know, never that real strong bond that we had here. And again, as I said earlier, is that we played together on and off the park. We've done things on and off the park, and we're still friends, a lot of us. Which, you know, in Arbroath, I only see one guy, and probably there's nobody from Celtic. So again, it just probably shows you the bond that we actually had. So very fond memories, and always love coming over to meet well-kept faces.
So, and hopefully today will be as good as the days that you had. Well,
young lads, I was reading today in the paper about, you know, where they were with Brian Jackson 4 years ago. You know, it was a sad day. The club might not have been here. All the things with Gavin Masterton, the finances, you know, and it shouldn't have been here really. And coming out of that with a bunch of young guys, which these young lads today are, is a fantastic achievement. And I think a lot of credit goes back to Jim Jeffries and Neil McCann, who were not getting paid, you know, to get over to begin with. Jim coming back, at least a lot of the people who have contributed to get to today in a short space of time, by the way, is phenomenal. So they guys, you know, although we've got great memories in 84, 85, 86 sort of seasons, they are the same. You know, in 10, 15 years time, people look back on these bunch of young lads who have done a great, and you never know, you know, next year, if they're competing in that first division, the championship, getting up there, and you never know, they could get to the Premier League, and they will be potentially welcome back to the club forever and a day, you know. So they've got, they probably don't realise it just now, but in there'll be a lot of, a little bit of nervousness, but I don't think, I was saying to Chris Wisher earlier on, it's a different type of nervousness. That, you know, it's the league. It was probably harder 3 weeks ago when they had to win. Today they've still got a couple of get the jail cards to come, but hopefully they'll do it today in Cowdenbeath, do something up at Peterhead.
Well, Dave, it's lovely seeing you back here at East End Park, and
Good.
thank you for speaking to us.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me.
Good.